Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, we begin a new Masechta Avoda Zara, which is going to speak about the subject of idol worship and all things related to it. The Rebbe once spoke about this Masechta when the Rebbe made a hadron on the Masechta, that by learning Masechta Avoda Zara, you're learning about the subject of Avoda Zara in Torah. That's how you're mevatel the whole inyan of Avoda Zara in the world. Because the way the inyan of Avoda Zara is in Torah is speaking about how to get rid of Avoda Zara and how to be mevatel the inyan of Avoda Zara. And which Avoda Zara refers to Avoda Zara kipshutai, which we'll learn all the details in the Masechta. And also, as the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, Avoda Zara is really by every Aveda, there's a concept of Avoda Zara because the essence of a person that is doing an Aveda is the same as Avoda Zara. So when we learn the subject in Torah, it gets rid of the shayrish of all Avedas. That's a general Nekuda that everyone spoke about in the Gate to the Masechta. Now, the Masechta Avoda Zara will speak about Avoda Zara, but also a lot of different things that are related to Avoda Zara. The sugyas of Yayin Nesach and Bchlal, all things that are related to wine, and other things that Chachamim were Mesakin regarding Pasakum and things like that are all in this Masechta. And a lot of other inyanim that are actually practical and apply Bizman Hazeh as well. Okay, let's begin. Zok Deilige Mishneh Lefnei I Dayen Shel Oivdei Kechavim. Shleishes Yamim. 3 days before the holiday of Avoda Zara, the holidays of Goyim, of Avoda Zara. Asur Lases V'Lases Imam. It's not allowed to do any business dealings with the Goy. And this refers to what does the Lases V'Lases mean? The simple shot of the Mishnah is not to sell, not to buy from him either. Rashi later in the Masechta says it refers only to selling to him, but other Rishonim say it means both, to sell and to buy. And there's another opinion about this, which is in Taisvis, that when it says losses velostis imaim, it means not to sell him things that he could use for the purpose of Avoda Zara. Now, the reason why you shouldn't sell to him within the first 3 days, as the Gemara will explain, because when he gains something, when he gets something from you which is beneficial to him, what happens? It's at the time of his holiday, so he's happy, and he goes and he will thank his Avoda Zara for what he got. So by you doing this business with him, you're causing him to go and thank his Avoda Zara. Okay, the Gemara will explain why it's the Yid's responsibility to make sure that he doesn't do this. There's machlokes in the Gemara about that. But that's the concept here. That the things the Mishnah lists here is because it causes the guy that gets a benefit for this in the time of his holiday to come and thank his Avoda Zara. Lahash'ilan, you're not allowed to lend him anything. And the lahash'ilan, this term means when you lend him any object. V'lishal man, or to borrow from the guy. So if you're lending him something, it gives him a benefit and happiness. And when you borrow from him, the Gemara explains, according to one opinion, that it makes the guy happy, that he says, oh, you see, look, the Yid needs me. The Yid relies on me. It's also a reason that he may go to thank his Avoda Zara. Lahalvaisan, to lend him money. V'lilvais man, or to borrow money from him. Lepairan, to pay a guy money that you owe him. V'lefraya mehen, or to have the guy pay you. So according to the Tanna Kama, even when allowing a guy to pay you his loan, which is seemingly something which is painful for him, that he has to pay you the money, but nevertheless the Tanna Kama holds that when you have a guy pay you his loan, it makes him feel happy. Oh, he got this loan paid. So that shouldn't be done also within the 3 days before his holiday. Rabbi Yehuda says, Nefrayin mehen, you could allow the guy to pay you his loan, because this is actually something which is distressful for him. It's not going to cause him to thank his Avoda Zara. But the Chachamim say to him, even if while he has to pay, it's something which is a meitzad, it's distressful for him, but afterwards he realizes that, he got this loan off his books. It makes him happy. Rashi here actually uses the term lemachar, but the Mefarshim say Rashi doesn't really mean lemachar. It refers to the day that the person actually is paying, because otherwise it's not in the time of the holiday that he's going to be thanking his Avoda Zara. Okay, so that's the point there of this Mishnah. This Isser, we'll see a lot of details about this in the Gemara.
Unrelated to Tanakama?
Yeah, the Chacham and Tanakama, they told Rabbi Yehuda, yeah. The Gemara begins, the Gemara Rav Shmuel. Rav Shmuel argued about the beginning of the Mishnah when it says, Lefnei Eidayan shall Ovdei Kechavim. What does this word Eidayan mean? If you're saying the holiday of a guy, it could be, the term for a holiday is a moyed or a yontiv.
It's derivative of the word.
It's a derogatory term, correct? It's
derivative of the word moyed.
No, it's not. It's actually not. We'll see right over here. The Gemara will bring the source of this word. It is a derogatory term about Avoda Zara, as the Gemara will explain. And there's another, I think some Mefarshim say that the term Eidayan is also the term for a holiday in Arabic.
Eid.
Eid. Oh, that's what it is. Also, okay. Say they're good. Okay. But it also has a source in Psukim that will speak about the Avoda Zara in a derogatory term. So the Mishnah does not want to use the term of Mayed or Yom Tiv when you speak about the holiday of Avoda Zara. So therefore it uses this term Eidayan. And there's two pshatim over here in this. So Rav Shmuel argued about this. Chatani, one of them, learned in the Mishnah as we have it, Eidayan with an aleph. The Chatani, but another one learned Eidayan with an ayin. Says the Gemara, Mandatani Eidayan loy mishtabish. The one that read with an aleph is not making a mistake. Or Mandatani Eidayan loy mishtabish. And the opinion that read it Eidayan with an ayin is also not making a mistake. And Gemara explains. Mandatani Eidayan, the one that read with an aleph loy mishtabish, is not making a mistake. The Chsiv, the pasuk says, Ki karev yoim Edom. The day of when the Avoda Zara will be broken or will be crushed is coming. So the Edom refers to the Avoda Zara that will be crushed. Therefore, it uses this term in the Mishnah, a day of a holiday of Avoda Zara. The Mishnah refers to as Eidayim, referring to the Avoda Zara in a negative way. The one that reads in the Mishnah Eidayim with an ayin is not making a mistake. That's not the way the Gemara understands the taish of this pasuk right now is that it's to be read sort of as a tmiyah. Will they come and bring their testimony, which refers to their Avoda Zara, that will testify for them, and they will be found to be righteous? So that, of course, that's not the case. Avoda Zara will not testify to make them righteous in the future. So therefore, Eidayim refers to Avoda Zara that has no power at all. Says the Gemara, Oman Detani Eidayan, the one, I skipped something? What? 1 second. I think I'm holding Mandetani, no? Oman Detani Eidayan, my time Leitani Eidayan. The opinion that reads the Mishnah with an aleph, Eidayan. What's the reason why he didn't want to translate like the other opinion that you read it with an ayin, Eidayan? They both have a source in the pasuk. So why didn't he want to learn this way? Amalach, he will answer you. The reason is Tavra Odif. The word Eidayan with an aleph, which means that the Avoda Zara will be broken or crushed. That's a term that the Tana wants to use that brings out the negativity of the Avoda Zara in a stronger way. Oman Detane Eidayan, the one that learned Eidayan with an ayin. My time Leitane Eidayan. Why didn't you read Eidayan with an aleph? Amalach, I'll answer you. Man kagaram lehu tavra. Who causes the Avoda Zara to be broken? Lasad lavai. Eidos sheheidu ba'atzmam. The testimony that the Avoda Zara will come and say in the future when Mashiach comes and there'll be the day of judgment and all those that serve the Avoda Zara, then there will be a testimony about their Avoda Zara and they will all be broken. So according to what the Gemara is saying now, it says Yitnu Eidayim v'yitzdaku. It means that the word Eidayim regarding Avoda Zara also means that there'll be a testimony about those that serve the Avoda Zara by the day of judgment, and they'll be broken. So the cause of what will break them is more than this that they'll be broken. So he wants to use a term that refers to the sibit, to the cause. So Hilkach Eidus Adifa. So therefore, the term Eidus that refers to the cause is a stronger term to express the negativity of the Avoda Zara. The Gemara asks on this, the pasuk that it quoted here, as a source for this term Eidayan to be speaking about Avoda Zara, that it's the testimony of Avoda Zara. Hi, Yitnu Eidayan v'yitzdaku. This pasuk, Yitnu Eidayan v'yitzdaku, is it actually referring to Avoda Zara? Havi Yisrael. It's actually a pasuk that was darshan regarding Yidden. Rabbi Shurban Levi said, "Kol mitzvahs she Yisrael oisem b'olam hazeh." All mitzvahs that Yidden do now in olam hazeh. Boys, so me'idos lahem la'olam haba, will come and testify on behalf of Yidden and Olam Haba that they will get schar for this. Shenem, as the pasuk says, Yitnu eideyem v'yitzdaku. They will give testimony for what Yidden did, and Yidden will be righteous. Elu Yisrael, this refers to Yidden Lasalavi that will get the schar for everything they did. Then the pasuk goes on to say, Yishmu v'yoimru emes, that they will all hear, and they will say that this is all true. Who's going to hear about this? This refers to the Goyim that will hear the Eidos about the mitzvahs that Yidden did, and they will come and say that it's true. Yidden were right, and therefore Yidden deserve to get the reward. So we clearly see in this drasha that this pasuk of Yitnu Eideyim V'Yitzdaku is a pasuk referring to Yidden. Not like a taish before that it's saying B'Lashon Teimah on the Eidos of the Avoda Zara. So Elam Rav Yehuna B'Reder Rav Yeshua, Rav Huna B'Reder Rav Yeshua darshans that there's a different source for this term of Eideyim to be used for Avoda Zara. Ma'anda Eideyim, the opinion it says that Eideyim goes on Avoda Zara mehacha. The source is from this pasuk. It says Yotzrei Pesel Kulam Toyu. The Pesel of Avoda Zara is created. Kulam Toyu. That they're all nothingness. V'chamudeim. Those that desire them. Baal Ya'ilu. They have no benefit at all. Ve'eideyim Hema, and they're those that testify for them. The pasuk that goes on to say, Bal Yiru, Bal Yedu, Aman Yavaishu. So here in this pasuk, he uses this term, Ve'eideyim Hema, regarding Avoda Zara, that they come to testify on behalf of those that serve the Avoda Zara, and they have no benefit at all. That's the source of the two terminologies that it says in the Mishnah. Now here, the Gemara will begin a whole hemshech of an agadita that is all based on the pasuk that it quoted before, Yitnu Eideyim V'Yitzdaku, what will happen when Mashiach comes. What will happen with all the Ummas Ha'olam and the Avoda Zara when Mashiach comes. But before we begin the agadita, I just want to mention a point that Taisus here speaks about Barichas, and the long Taisus on the Amud. Many Rishonim speak about this. This din that we just learned here in the Mishnah about not doing business with a goy in the time of his holiday of Avoda Zara, why doesn't that apply today? Why shouldn't we say that today this Isser Chacham or Misakin, not to allow the guy to come and thank his Avoda Zara for a benefit that he has of doing business with the Yid? And if so, if that would apply today, that maybe even would include every Sunday is a day for a guy for him to go and thank his Avoda Zara. So therefore 3 days before, and as we'll see later in the Gemara, according to another opinion, it means even 3 days after as well. So that means not Thursday, not Friday, and not Shabbos, which is not relevant, but not Monday, not Tuesday, not Wednesday either.
They're not pagan worship.
What?
They're not pagan worship.
Oh, so there's different pshatim in the Rishonim. One of the pshatim that Taisus says over here is that the Goyim today, it's not really Avoda Zara. They're not really thanking their Avoda Zara. It's not, but it's not so pashut. There's an Indian of, there's a whole discussion in Rishonim whether Nazareth, Christianity, whether it is an Indian of Avoda Zara or not. And there are the holidays that are specifically connected to Christianity. There's a machlekes about that. But that's one of the pshatim. That it's there's others that say that even the Chacham Lechatchila were misak in this eifim, but it wasn't. If you do business with Goyim all the time, and then it comes one time that in his time of his holiday you're going to stop doing business with him mipnei eva, because it's going to bring big friction between Yidden and Goyim. The takana doesn't apply in such a situation. It's another teretz. There's many teretzim to this question, but b'payil and Shulchan Aruch it's brought. What it says in Rishonim, what it says in Tosfos, that today it's mutter to do business with a guy 3 days before the time of his holidays, and we're not chayshish for this gzeira of Chachamim. Okay, let's begin the Yagadita. Zok the Gemara, Doresh Rab Chanine bar Papa v'teimer Rab Simloi. La'asid lavai, when Mashiach comes, maybe HaKadosh Baruch Hu Sefer Torah manicha b'cheika. The Eibishter brings the Sefer Torah and places it on his lap. And v'aymer, the Eibishter says, L'mi she'asak ba, whoever came and learned this Torah, Yavai v'yitla schare, should come and demand his reward for this. Miyad, immediately, miskab tzunu ba'an oivdei kechavim be'erbuvya, all nations come, all mixed together, not each one separately, but they all come together to the Eibishter. Shenem, as the pasuk says, Kol ha'goyim nikbetzu yacht of a goyim, that all goyim, that's in that pasuk that we were quoting before, where it includes Yitnu Eideyim V'Yitzdaku, that they're going to try to give their testimony and be righteous. So it starts off with Kol ha'goyim nikbetzu yacht. They'll all come and gather together to demand their reward. So as it says in the Mefarshim, that they are under the impression that we fulfilled what the Eibishter wants from us, and they're coming right away. They do whatever they do is to be mekabel schar, not lishma. So they come right away. They're the first ones to demand their reward. And the Eibishter tells them, Al tichnasu lefane bar bovya. Don't come all nations together mixed. Elitikanis kal umma v'umma. Let each nation come separately, and the Eibusha will judge each one separately to see if they deserve to get their reward. And v'seifreah, and each nation separately with its sages. Shanema, as the pasuk says, v'yei asfu l'umim, that the nations will come and gather by the Eibishter. That's a continuation of that very same pasuk. And when it says l'umim ve'ein lo'im ela malchus, lo'im means each kingdom, each malchus for itself. Shanema, as it says in the pasuk, lo'im mil'im yamatz, one kingdom, another kingdom are fighting against another. The pasuk that it says by Yaakov and Esav. But from here you see that each lo'im is a nation for itself, and therefore v'yasu l'umim means Hashem demands that each nation should come itself. Now, the Gemara asks, what's the reason for this? Is there such a thing that when they all come together in front of the Eibusher, so it's confusing and they're all mixed and you can't identify who's who? The Eibusher can't identify who's who. The Eibusher in one moment sees exactly who everything is, what everything is. So Ella, the reason is the reason is not for the Eibusher's sake, but it's for the nations that are coming to receive their reward, so that they should hear what the Eibusher tells them and the answer that the Eibusher is going to give each one of these nations separately. So now, Miyad nichnas of Malchus Remi. Who's the first nation that comes to stand in front of the Eibusher? The Roman Empire. They come first. Now, my time, why does the Roman Empire come first? Bishum de Chashiva. Because they are very prominent. Uminol the Chashiva. Where do we see that the Roman Empire is so significant or so prominent? The pasuk says, "Vasaychal kol ara." They consume the whole land. To do shine, to do kine, and they trampled on everything. They pulverized everything. So we see that they're a very powerful, very very powerful empire. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says that Zud Raimi. This pasuk is speaking about Raimi Chayeves, the wicked Roman Empire. Shetiva Yatza V'Chala Eilam. Its name is in the entire world, or another pshat, Tiva actually refers to it, a coin. Its currency is in the whole world. Therefore, they're the ones that come first. Now the Gemara explains, Uminallah the man chashav ayal bereisha. How do you know that the one that's prominent? They're the ones that come first. Maybe there's a different reason why the Romans are first, not because of their prominence. Says the Gemara, Rav Chisda said and explained this to Omer Rav Chisda, Melech v'tzibor, when there's a king and many people that have to be judged, who is judged first? Melech nichnas tchila l'din. The king, which is prominent, he goes first into judgment. Shenema, this is in front of the Eibishter. If the Eibishter is judging a king for what he did, or the Eibishter is judging all the people, all the Yidden, so who's judged first? The king. Where do we see this? Shenema, the pasuk says, Lasa is mishpat avdai, or mishpat ami Yisrael v'gayim. This is a pasuk that's written about Shlomo Melech. That first the Eibishter judges his servant, which was Shlomo Melech, the king, and then the Eibishter judges all the Yidden. And the time am I? What's the reason why the king is attended to and judged first? Either the reason is lav oirachara lemesav malkama avroy. It's not customary for the king to have to wait for his judgment to sit outside. Because of his prominence, he's judged first. Or another reason is mikame the leifish charoinaf. Before the Eibishter gets very angry when he sees all the Avedas that there is, when he looks at the tzibur, at all the people, so the king should come first, and the Eibishter will judge him more fairly before he sees all the bad things that the people did. So therefore over here also, the Romans, because of their prominence, so they get to be judged first. Some of the Rishonim say that the second reason that the Gemara just said over here does not apply to the Romans, because it's not that the Eibishter is trying to spare the Romans of his anger, but because of their prominence, they do come first. Okay, so now what happens? They're coming and standing in front of the Eibishter. Amalem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter says to the Roman Empire, B'ma asaktem, what did you do in this world that you deserve any reward? Aibrim Lefanav, they say in front of the Eibishter, Rebbeinu Shalayla, Master of the universe. Harbe Shvakim Tekninu, we built and prepared in this world many marketplaces. Harbe Mechatzoyis Asinu, we made many bathhouses. Harbe Kesav V'Zav Rabinu, we did a lot of business, commerce, and there was much silver and gold in this world because of us. And then they say, V'Kulam Layasinu Ella B'Shvil Yisrael, we did all of this for the sake of Yidden, Kidei Sheis Aske B'Teira, so that Yidden could have the benefit of all of this, and they can have time to learn Teira. And therefore we deserve a reward for this. Amalem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter says to the Romans, Shaitim Shabaylam, fools that you are in the world. Kol Masha Asisem, everything that you've done, Litzerech Atzbachem Asisem. You did it for your own benefit. You didn't do it for the sake of Yidden. Tekantem shvakim, you prepared and made marketplaces, Laishav bem zaynis, so that you can place zaynis, prostitutes there for yourself. Merchetzais, the bathhouses, la'ada bem atzvechem, just for your own personal pleasure. Kesev v'zov, the silver and the gold, all the business that you did and the money that you made in the world, that actually shaliu. That's the Eibusher says the money is mine. Shenem aliyah kesev aliyah zov num Hashem tzvais. So, which means even when you do any business or any commerce, the success of the business and the money that you made is all Momaila. The Eibusher can turn the wheel and they would lose everything in a moment. So therefore, that's not even anything that you did. So Klum yesh bechem. The Eibusher turns to them and says, this is what's really valuable. Do you have Magid Zeis? Could you say about the Zeis? Do you have that? Shenema, as the pasuk says, Mi bechem Yagid Zeis. This is the continuation of the pasuk that the Gemara is darshaning here. It says again, Kol hagoyim nikbetzu yachdo v'yasvu le'umim, and then it says, Mi behem Yagid Zeis. What does it mean? Who of you was studying Zeis? The term Zeis refers to Teira. Shenema, as the pasuk says, V'Zeis HaTeira Ashasam Moshe. And therefore we see that the word Zeis goes on Moshe Rabbeinu. This is what the Eibusher answers to the Roman Empire. The Mefarshim point out the lashon that the Eibusher says here that they're shaitim, they're fools. Why doesn't it say that they're liars? They're saying that they made all these things for the sake of Yidden. It's not true. They did it all for themselves. So it should have said that they're liars. The answer is the emes is that from the Eibusher's perspective, what they did was taka for this reason. The Eibusher creates everything in the world, including the Roman Empire, with everything that they bring into the world for the sake of the Yidden. So when they say that this was all done for the sake of the Yidden, it's not a lie. But what the Eibusher is saying is, even if it's true, but nevertheless you're still shaitim, because if it's taka true, why didn't you take advantage of this and do it for this purpose? They did it for their own sake, for their own selfishness. That's why they're referred to as shaitim. What happens? So miyad yotzu b'pachin nefesh. So after the Romans hear this, they leave completely disappointed. Yatzes Malchus Reimi, the Roman Empire leaves. V'nichnasa Malchus Paras, and the Persian Empire comes in achareha, following it. My time, why do they come next? The Chashive Basra, because they are the next empire that's very prominent. Minalam, where do we see that the Persian Empire is prominent? The pasuk says, V'aru cheva acharei tinyana, that there's an animal afterwards that comes dam yuladayv, that's compared to a bear. And who is this nation that's compared to a bear, which is powerful? The Tanna Rav Yosef says, Elu Parsiim. This refers to the Persians. Sha'oichlem v'shaislim kedayv. They eat and drink like a bear. Umusurvalim basa kedayv, and they're very fleshy, very big like a bear. This is a quote that Rebbe used to speak about whenever the Rebbe spoke about the name of the Rebbe Rashab, Dayv Bear. The Rebbe spoke about this Indian of Musurbalim Basa like a bear. Megadlin Seir Kedayv, a lot of hairs like a bear. And Ve'ela Menucha Kedayv, and doesn't rest like a bear that always is pacing and coming and going and doesn't rest. That's why. So the Dayv refers to this very powerful animal that is the mashal for the Persian Empire. So they come next in front of the Eibusher. Taisus points out that they are actually even before Malchus Bavel, even though Malchus Bavel is compared to a lion, and the lion is the king of all the animals, but nevertheless the bear is actually, as Yosef Taisus says, he's stronger. And he's Baltachbulois, he's more, how do you say Baltachbulois, more conniving, more, yeah. Okay, Amalem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibusher says to them, to the Persian Empire, what did you do in this world that you deserve reward? So they say to the Eibusher, Harbe Gesharim Gesharna, we built bridges, Harbe Krachim Kavashnu, we conquered cities, Harbe Mulchamis Asino, we fought wars, and the Kulam, Yasinu El B'Shvul Yisrael, we did it for the sake of Yidden, Kadesh Yisaske B'Teira, so that they'll learn Teira. Amal HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so the Eibusher says to them, Kol Mashasisam L'Tzerich Atzmachem Asisam. What you've done, you did it having yourself in mind. Tekantem Ksharim, the bridges that you built was little mehem meches, so that you can collect taxes or collect toll. Krachem, the countries that you built or that you conquered, lastes bem Angaria, in order that you can also have Angaria, which is those that become are used to work for the king and so on, or different things that the king takes from this. Mulchames, the wars that you say that you waged and you were successful in your wars. Aniyah Sisi, that's the Eibusher's success in the wars. Shanam, the Eibusher determines the outcome of a war. Hashem ish Muhammad. Eibush is ish Muhammad. So, Klom yesh b'chem magid zayis. Do you have magid zayis, which refers to Torah? Shenema mi b'chem yagid zayis vein zayis al Torah. Shenema v'zayis al Torah shesam Moshe. And here they have nothing to answer. Miyad yatzum ulefanav v'pachin nefesh. So they leave disappointed. Now the Gemara asks about this. Why is the Persian Empire even trying their luck to demand a reward for this? Once they see Malchus Paras, that is Malchus Paras, the Persian Empire sees the Malchus Reimi. What happened to the Roman Empire? When they came and tried to collect their reward, that it didn't help. So my time, so why did they come and try to get their reward? So Amri, the reason is because the Persian Empire says, Eno Sasri Beis HaMikdash. The Romans are the one that destroyed the Beis HaMikdash. Maybe that's why Eibishter did not give them anything. But Vanan Banina, the Persians, they're the ones that actually built the second Beis HaMikdash. Kairish was the Melech Paras, and he helped even build the second Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara continues, V'chein l'chol umma v'umma, so too all other nations come and demand their reward for what they did in the world, claiming that what they did was for the sake of Yidden.
But Koresh was, it's brought down that he's the son of Esther.
Yeah, true.
So,
but
vis-a-vis it came through Yidden.
Okay, but he was also from Hashverosh though, and he was part of the Persian Empire.
Yeah.
Okay, now all other nations also come and demand their reward. Now the question of this is, once they see that not the Romans were successful, not even the Persians that built the Beis HaMikdash were successful, why do they come in and try to get their reward? So Savri, the reason is because they think to themselves, Hanach ishtabduhu buhu b'Yisrael. Both the Romans and the Persians subjugated Yidden in different times in history. But Vanan lo shabatnu b'Yisrael. Other kingdoms come and say that we never subjugated Yidden. Another question the Gemara now asks, Ma'ishno hani the chashivi. Why are we only saying the names of these two empires, the Romans and the Persians, that saying them by name, that they come in front of the Eibishter? But the other nations that come later are not specified who they are. The answer is, says the Gemara, because both the Persian Empire and the Roman Empire, their melucha, their kingdom, their empire continues until Mashiach comes. What does this mean? That it continues until Mashiach comes? So here there's a taisus that you have to see. Mashcha b'machasayat Mashiach. He said, taisus here brings the Gemara. It says here it's an Hedrin, but it's really a Gemara in Yuma, where the Gemara there says that when Mashiach comes, Malchus Paras, the Persian Empire, asido shatipol biyad Raimi. The Persian Empire will fall into the hands of the Roman Empire. That's American Iran. That's what's going on. That's why I'm reading the Taisus.
What's today?
Huh?
What happened today?
Again,
Chav Gimel.
correct. So that's what Taisus brings it from the Gemara. So Taisus says that that will happen when Mashiach will come, but that's until Mashiach will come, though, there'll be the Roman Empire and there'll be the Persian Empire, and when Mashiach will come, the Persian Empire will fall into the hands of the Roman Empire. Okay, that's the pshat over this Indian, and it's in Gemara and Yuma. Okay, now the Gemara continues and says, Aimrim lefanav, the nations come and say in front of the Eibishter, Ribayne Shalaylam, Master of the universe, Klom nesata lanu v'leiki balnua. Did you give us or offer us the Torah and we did not accept it? So we didn't have the Torah. The Eibush is saying, did you fulfill the Torah? Did you give us the Torah? And did you offer it to us that we did not accept it? So the Gemara says, how are they saying this? Could they say that they were not offered the Torah? But Vaksev, it actually says in the Pasuk, Vayomer Hashem misinai ba v'zarach miseir lamai. The Eibush says that he came to Sinai, and he came from where? From Seir, which is by Edom, by Esav. Uksiv, another pasuk says, Alekab mi Taimon Yaveh v'Geimer. The Eibush comes from Taimon. My boy b'Seir, my boy b'Paran. What is the Eibush doing in Seir or in Paran, which is Taimon? Rabbi Yechanan says, Malamed Shech Zira Kadosh Baruch Hu al Kol Umma V'Lashon. That before the Eibush gives Torah to Yidden, he offers it to all other nations. And that's Seir, which is Edom or Romans, and then Esav, and then there's Taimon, which refers to the Bnei Yishmael. And the Eibush offered it to them as well. V'loi kiplua. And they did not accept the Torah. Ad Shabbat Eitzel Yisrael v'kiplua. Until the Eibush comes to Yidden, and the Yidden accept the Torah. So they did. They were offered the Torah, and they refused to receive the Torah. So Elo Hachi Omri. This is what the nations say. Klom Kibalnua V'loi Kiamnua. Did we receive the Torah? Did we accept the Torah and not fulfill it? We never accepted it, and therefore we didn't fulfill it. But the Gemara says, well, V'alda Tavartayin. But this itself breaks their whole claim. Why didn't you accept the Torah when you were offered the Torah? So Ella Kachayim and Mulafana. This is what the nations claim in front of Hashem. Ribayna Shalaylam Klom Kafisa Aleinu Har Kegigis V'Leiki Balnua. Did you pick up the mountain above our head like a barrel and force us to receive the Torah, and then we didn't receive it? Kemaisha Sisali Yisrael, like you did for Yidden the Chsev. The pasuk says, Vayisyatzvu B'Tachte Sahar, and the Yidden stood below the mountain. And Amar Avdimi Barchame. What it means is Malamed Shekafa Kadosh Baruch Hu Har Kegigis Al Yisrael. The Eibishter lifted the mountain as a barrel over Yidden, and Vamalam and said to the Yidden, Imatem Mekabel Mesatayre Mutter. If you'll receive the Torah, will be good. Vim Lav, and if not, Shom Take Fudaschem. You'll be buried over here. So the Eibishter, so to speak, forced Yidden to receive the Torah. So the Goyim are saying, you offered us the Torah, but you didn't force us to receive the Torah the way you did for Yidden. So the fact that we didn't receive it, there's no taina against us. Okay, the continuation of the conversation between the Eibishter and the Goyim, it continues. We're going to Gemara, we'll continue with Hashem tomorrow.
That's an intense conversation.